Welcome. My name is Mr. Sunarine, and today's lesson is going to look at how can we determine the perimeter of polygon when some of the side length measurements are unknown. Before we get into today's lesson, we're going to go over some information that will help us understand what this lesson's about. First thing what I want to discuss is perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around a 2D shape. So that means we measure the outside of the figure, everything on the outside. And today we're going to be looking at two different figures, two different polygons. The first one is a rectangle. A rectangle is a quadrilateral, which means a four-sided polygon. And we know a key characteristics of rectangles: opposite sides are equal. So if we know that one side is 7 centimeters, we know that the other side is 7 centimeters. If we know that this side is given, the opposite side will be also the same value. So in this case, here is 2 centimeters. Over here is also 2 centimeters. The other figure we're going to be working with is a square. A square is also a quadrilateral, which means a four-sided polygon, and we also know that all sides are equal. So what does that mean? If we know that one side is given, so let's say one side is 2 centimeters, we know each of the others missing sides. So if this is 2 centimeters, this is 2 centimeters, this is 2 centimeters, and this is 2 centimeters. So here are some key characteristics of square, and the same thing for rectangle. And again, when we're looking at perimeter, we're going to add up all the values around the polygon. Now we're going to look into some practice problems that will explore this further. Okay, so here we have two different figures. The first figure here is a rectangle, and this figure here is a square. The task for this slide is label the unknown sides of the square and rectangle and explain your thinking here. So again, pause the video, think about what the missing values will be here, and the same thing on this side. And what we're going to be doing is I want you to explain your thinking on how you got that answer and write it on over here. So we're going to move on to the next slide. So when we're working with a rectangle, over here we are given that this length is 4 inches. We know that a rectangle, the opposite sides are equal, so if this is 4 inches, then this is 4 inches as well. Over here we are given that this is 3 inches, therefore this side is 3 inches also. When we're dealing with the square, we're only given that one side is 3 inches. We know that a square, all the sides are equal, so therefore if we're given one side, all the other sides are the same value. Therefore, that's why we put 3 inches here, 3 inches here, and 3 inches here. To look at I put my explain your thinking here. So a rectangle, I know that opposite sides are equal, and that was what we explained over here in this diagram. We also know here a square, I know all the sides are the same value. If I know one value, I know all the values of the sides of the square. So here we have one side, and therefore we can figure out the other missing sides. Now we're going to move on to a practice problem. Label the unknown side lengths of the rectangle below, then find the perimeter of the rectangle. So pause the video, work through what are the missing lengths here, and once you find those two values, I want you to add up all of the values and see what you come up with as your perimeter. We're going to go over the answers on the next slide. Okay, so the first thing we're dealing with is that this figure is a rectangle. So we know that the rule of a rectangle tells us that the opposite sides are equal. So if this is 7, then over here is 7. If this is 2, this is 2. Next, what we're going to do is find the perimeter. Perimeter means we're going to add up all the lengths. So here we have 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. When we add up all 4 values, we get 18 centimeters. And the perimeter is 18 centimeters. We're going to look at another problem. Okay, so here, label the unknown lengths, side lengths of the square below, then find the perimeter of the square. So here we're only given one side, so I want you to pause the video, think about what the missing lengths are, and find the perimeter. Moving on. So since we know that this square, one side is 5 inches, all the other sides are the same value. So this is 5 inches, this is 5 inches, this is 5 inches. When we're finding the perimeter, we're adding all 4 values, and we add 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and 5 centimeters, giving us a total of 20 centimeters. Or, since they're the 5 same values, we could do 5 centimeters times 4 equals 20 centimeters. Therefore, our perimeter is 20 centimeters. We're going to look at another problem. So label the unknown side lengths of the rectangle below and find the perimeter of the rectangle. So pause the video, find the missing side lengths, and find the perimeter. So I'll pause the video and we're going to move on. Here we see that the missing lengths are given. Remember, the opposite sides are the same. And when we calculate this, we find out that our perimeter is 30 centimeters. We're going to go over one last question. Okay, so label this square, the missing lengths of the square, and find the perimeter. Pause the video, we're going to move on. Okay, so when we're finding, first we need to figure out the missing lengths of the square. So we know that if one length is 8 feet, then the other sides are 8 feet as well. And when we calculate the perimeter, either option will get you the same answer. We know that the perimeter is 32 feet. Now we're going to move on to our summarization. How can we determine the perimeter of a polygon when some of the side length measurements are unknown? If I need to find the missing sides of a rectangle, I know that the opposite sides are equal. And for a square, I know all the sides are the same value. If I know one value, I know all the values of the sides of the square. And here's a diagram that demonstrates both a rectangle and a square. Hope this was helpful and have a great day.